I've always said that Black Lives Matter was a grift. I've always said that Black Lives Matter was never about Black Lives Mattering. If you really wanted to support Black Lives Matter, you would steer clear of that organization. It is the same organization that is responsible for the vast majority of riots that have happened over the past 3 years that have destroyed black communities, black-owned businesses. This is and what's more is it was always used for politics. You'll notice that Black Lives Matter really always came to the forefront during election years, when they needed to make Republicans seem racist, when they needed to make the system itself seem racist. And who was there to help the black community? Democrats. And if you would just vote for Democrats, they would take care of you. They would do everything for you. They would make everything fair, and there would be unicorns and rainbows. But that was never the case, actually. Those politicians who really do support Black Lives Matter, you'll always find that those politicians made their communities worse off than they actually began with. So it's always been also a grift for the leaders of Black Lives Matter. And there is one thing here right now that proves it above all else. BLM co-founder just bought some fancy new digs. This is up at Red State right now. Let's dive in. Over the past year since the death of George Floyd, a ton of money has flooded into the Black Lives Matter coffers from all kinds of sources and companies trying to virtue signal that they care about black people. Of course, if you really cared about black people, giving money to Black Lives Matter would be one of the worst ways to show it. Black Lives Matter protests have been connected to hundreds of riots and a lot of damage that harmed a lot of black people in their neighborhoods. But that would require companies to actually pay attention and truly be concerned and actually acknowledge the damage that Black Lives Matter has done. You'll notice that many people don't want to talk about the people whose lives they destroyed. David Dorn was killed defending a pawn shop by Black Lives Matter rioters. You'll notice that they never want to talk about that. What they want to show you, just like they did at the DNC, is all the clean versions of Black Lives Matter with peaceful protests. And they don't want to show you Antifa burning down buildings. They don't want to show you Black Lives Matter assaulting people in the street. They don't want to show you that. They don't want to show you Black Lives Matter burning down black-owned businesses because it destroys the narrative, and we got to keep the narrative intact. It continues. But it's perhaps not surprising then to read some interesting news about Patrisse Cullors, one of the founders of the Black Lives Matter movement. Maybe woke doesn't always mean broke, and sometimes social justice pays off. And it really does for her. Turns out Cullors, who now goes by Khan Cullors after marrying Janaya Khan, who is the co-founder of Black Lives Matter Toronto, just bought some new digs. It's not a revolutionary cell type of place either. A corporate entity that she controls just shelled out more than $1.4 million for a mini compound in Topanga Canyon in Los Angeles. Let's learn a little bit more about this place. For one, it looks nice. Here's some of the pictures. It's one of the nicer places you're going to find in California for that price range, I should say. $1.4 million. It's a little piece of land here, about a little over an acre. Comes with a house, a guest house, and as you can see, it's pretty beautiful. It's like mini farmland. But here's the interesting part. Now, we would note it's not Beverly Hills, and $1.4 million is probably on the cheaper side of that area. But it's interesting to note that the demographics of the area are only about 1.4% black people there, so not exactly living up to her creed. Patrisse Cullors is not exactly what I would call the most upstanding person when it comes to race relations. She has painted many white officers as evil just because they were white officers. She has fomented the idea that white supremacy rules America, and that she has effectively helped make white people guilty of original sin just because of their white skin. And yet she doesn't want to live in the neighborhoods that she proclaims to want to help. The neighborhoods, with the people that she wants to be around all the time and live with. No. She leaves and goes to a predominantly white neighborhood. And the hypocrisy doesn't end there. I want to remind everyone that Patrisse Cullors is a trained Marxist. She was proud of that fact. She said so in an interview at one point in time with a radio show host. Her whole entire MO, really, was pushing that our system, the American system, capitalism, was dangerous to black people, that it was keeping black people oppressed. It was not, by the way. It never has. According to her, we need to collapse capitalism so that black people can have a fair shot. And yet, here she is with this very nice home that costs $1.4 million brought to her by a corporation that she owns. It seems a little hypocritical, doesn't it? This is why you should never buy into the grift. If you actually see people out there like Patrisse Cullors, Al Sharpton, AOC, they're always trying to foment division because they can profit off it in some way, shape, or form. I mean, it either gives them money or it gives them power. And Patrisse Cullors is no different. She's not doing any kind of real communist action. She's just trying to make herself rich because then she can turn around and give herself the cushy life that the people she claims to be representing don't have. Is this going to be reported by the mainstream media? Probably not. They need Patrisse Cullors to seem as if she really is a freedom fighter who is on the ground and helping out people who are oppressed and less fortunate. But she is far from being oppressed, and she is far from unfortunate. She is probably one of the largest grifters in the United States who has helped other grifters get elected and has really fomented some of the worst division our nation has seen in the last 20 years, possibly in a very long time, actually. She is part of the problem when it comes to race relations in America. She has tried to make it, her and her organization have tried to make it impossible for race relations to be solved. Keep in mind that Black Lives Matter is a reactive organization by her own description. If you are a black community that was trying to find a way to bridge the gap between police officers and your community to try to come together and understand each other and develop more of a relationship, Patrisse Cullors and Black Lives Matter is there to disavow you. They do not want to be a part of that. They made that very clear. An event in Milwaukee not long ago tried to do the very thing, and it was Black Lives Matter who denounced them. They don't want to solve the problem of police officers in the black community. They just want to be able to react whenever something goes down and effectively point out all the problems with our system, with police, with police's views of the black community, with white people's views of the black community. And it's really all just in an effort to make our system seem unfair to the black community and try to encourage them to try to tear it down. You'll recall that there was a Black Lives Matter leader who came onto Fox News and openly said that if you don't give us what we want, we're going to burn everything down. And that's just what Black Lives Matter is. It is not there to help. It's definitely not there to help black people. It's there to help Democrats. It's there to help activists who want to get rich. And that's about it, really. So keep that in mind. Keep this in mind whenever you see Patrisse Cullors in the news trying to make it seem like she's some, holy figure within the United States. She is far from. She is a massive hypocrite. I'll see you in the next video. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it or learned anything, please hit that like button and be sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification icon so you're made aware when we upload new content. See you in the next video.